Hi everyone, this is Kelly from The Truth in Story, and I just wanted to talk a little bit about this right here, but I just wanted to do a quick overview of my whole planning thing so you can see what I'm up to and it will make a little bit more sense. I do have more of a walkthrough about my regular planner, where it's at right now on my other channel, and I will put a link to that below, but I am using this version of the Happy Planner. It says she walked in moon dust and stars were sprinkled in her hair. And the whole thing is beautiful. I got this a little while back, actually around my birthday time. Miss Maureen had sent me a Michael's gift card and I picked this up when it was on sale. So it's just really beautiful. It has really just little bits of stardust everywhere, and it's just, it's really beautiful. It spoke to my moon soul, and so this is what I'm using just for my everyday planning, and I've done videos on it. And again, I'll put a link to my latest video that I did about how I use this weekly portion. I bullet journal within, and in here I also have bullet journal aspects, so that video I will put below. So that's my daily planner that I have. And then I also have something I'm working on this year is sort of, my book of things. So whereas this is Into the Wild Woods, these are the spreads that I made for the Into the Wild Woods. This is the Order of the Whale of the Year, and so it has things like that, things for Samhain and that kind of thing. So I have that where I keep information about intention setting and things of that nature. And of course I have like all my correspondences to things in my little white book. So that being said, this is a little bit of a mix of all of those things that I just pointed on. So this is obviously a Discbound, so let me just give the logistics here. And this is big, right? This is hefty. And I may, eventually break this into two, but for right now, I'm just kind of keeping it together right now. And it's big and it's heavy. These, this is a Tool, T-U-L, from Office Max. That's their brand of disc bind system, and so this is a black. I like these lighter weight covers. They do have leather covers, but I actually quite like these. And then these are 1.5 inch rings, because they come with very tiny 1/2 inch. You can get 1 inch. These are 1.5 inch, and I think you can even get 2 or 3 inch ones, but these are pretty big. These are a lot. I have a lot of pages in here, so that's probably as big as I would ever go, but that's what is the semantics here. I have a folder just to keep things in, and then this is Benebell Wen's Metaphysician planner for 2018. Now, I took this to Office Max because I was going to have it printed there, but there were problems, and it wasn't any fault of the file, because I was able to print the file fine, but they were having real problems printing the file, so I ended up bringing it home and printing it myself, which isn't ideal. I would have preferred to have had it printed there. For ink purposes, I have a laser printer, and very often it doesn't print great numbers of things well. You get ghosting and things like that, which I did get on some of these. I'm not overly particular. I also wanted a thicker paper because I figured I would be moving things in and out. This is 32 pound, but it was this kind of glossy presentation or brochure paper. So it definitely has a sheen to it. It does feel really sturdy, but you can't really write on something like this with regular pen. It will wipe off. I do love and use, I found these pens when I use microns for sketching. I also use microns for writing. I love microns, so I have them scattered all over the place. But when I was needing to sign my card, these thank you cards for my deck when I send them out. You know, I signed this and then put person's name on here. I didn't want it to wipe off, obviously, and so I found that Sakura or Micron makes a micro perm, and these are in my favorite numbers, 01, 03, and 05, and you can get a set like this of these, and these are micros, and then you can write on photographs, shinier things, you can write on, and they write really well on this. And it doesn't wipe off, it's no problem there. So the other thing that you could use for a glossier paper would be like the Sharpie, which I'm missing the black, but the Sharpie art pens, the fine tip ones, those wrote on here. If I want to add a little bit of color, I can, and they don't wipe off of here either. So that, you know, the paper wasn't exactly what I wanted, but, you know, it is what it is. And again, I do it all printed fine. So again, this is Benebell Wen's, when you purchase, and I'll put a link to below, when you purchase her 2008 Metaphysician's journal, you have a choice. Well, it gives you, if you give her your birth date and time and place, she'll do your birth chart and your solar return, which is really fantastic. You have a choice here with what this is. She's got a bunch of different options that you can choose. I chose these fish. An old Chinese tale goes like this. A koi fish dreamt of being a dragon. All the other animals mocked him for his quixotic fantasies. Every day the koi fish prayed to the heavens to become a dragon. One day heaven answered his prayer. The Jade Emperor told the fish that if he could swim up a certain formidable waterfall, then the heavens would grant the koi his wish. That condition, though, seemed impossible to achieve. Yet every day, tirelessly and with great tenacity, the little fish worked hard at scaling that waterfall. The other animals mocked him even harder now. Nonetheless, the fish persisted. Then one day, against all odds, the koi fish made it up the waterfall to the top. Honoring the promise, the Jade Emperor transformed the koi fish into a celestial dragon. Likewise, when you are willing to work against all odds towards your dreams, against what you thought was your limit in nature, the gods will honor you for your tenacity and transform your greatest fantasies, no matter how quixotic, into reality. I'm not sure how it's like for Don Quixote, but I'm not sure how you would say that. Into reality, you know, chasing after windmills, but it becomes reality. I really liked this one, and you can get like the other one that I would have got was the Kuan Yin one. There were quite a few choices there. I really liked this one because it was making your dreams come true, but it also with the understanding that you have to do the work. Like, you have to work. Yes, you might get rewarded, right, for your work, your hard work, and get this wonderful things that happen to you, but the gods, right, the universe, spirit expects us to work towards getting our dreams fulfilled. And I really liked that message, so that's why I picked this one. And there's all kinds of things in here. She's got a video on it. She talks about it on the webpage, which I will put. There's a healing sigil, a prosperity sigil. There's a place for the 10, I'm not sure how you say that either, parami, but what you're trying to strive for. It's kind of built off of that idea of karmic merit, and it has some ties with the understanding of the tenets behind Buddhism. So you can kind of put here sort of what it is that you're going to try to do to be more generous this year, to be more moral, these kinds of things. So you can see here where, and I could reprint this, and I probably will at some point. By the time I got everything together, I was just done trying to get the fronts and the backs correct and everything. And so you can see where sometimes with my laser printer it does weird things. But for the most part, you know, the little things like that don't bother me all that much. You've got an annual plan for career, for finances, for health, for family, personal, spiritual, and sort of a blank one. So like, what are your resolutions in those areas? And then what are you going to do about them? So I really liked that. You know, you can't just make a resolution and not do anything. And same thing here. What are some resolutions? What are the 11 resolutions? And then have you done anything through, you know, check marking these to each month if you've, you know, at least made some steps towards those resolutions. And then this is to come back to and say, kind of reflect on how you did. Then it has the 2018 forecast for Cartomancy. So there is a place here to pull a card for each of the months, like many of us do, right? So the card of the month, some notes here, and then some post-month reflection after that month is over. How did that card end up playing out in your in your life? So I'm not sure what I'll probably insert something similar but with I pull for the wheel of the year. So I'm not sure. I may still go ahead and use something else and pull a monthly one that's maybe more of an oracle deck. Maybe I'll pull a Weaver's or something like that, or one of the Shaman's oracle, different shamanic energy to work with. So I'm not sure how I'm going to work with this because I do a wheel of the year spread. So I will put in, that's one of the things I love about the Discbound, is I will do something similar for 8 card pull, well 9 with the card of the year, and I will do that, or I can just literally just white these out and put in the 8 that I need, right? So I'll think about what I want to do with that. And then you have your plans: professional, personal, aspirational, and financial goal setting for the first quarter, second quarter, third quarter, fourth quarter. So you can see some more ghosting, although I think that actually ended up looking pretty cool. And then that gets us into the month, right? And so my intention with this planner is to be much more tarot and esoteric related. It is the Metaphysician's planner, right? So I tend to use this a little bit more. Anytime I pull a card reading, it would be going in here, but I'll get to that when we get to the dailies. But what I really love is that, so here you have your monthly, and I'm a big proponent of a monthly, seeing things at a spread. You've got 3 goals for the month. You've got a divinatory, so you could pull a card for that month, or if you've already done that, right, over here in your year ahead, you'd kind of remind yourself of that. It has Chinese astrology auspicious dates for romance, business, ritual, and travel. So those are notes, days of note, in case you want to do specific things, as well as some astrological days of note in this particular month. You also have a ephemera here, or partly, so you have it is an ephemera table here for the month of January. So you have the sun, the moon, you have Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, and Saturn showing up here. And then what sign they're in for each of the days. And it also indicates the new moon and the full moon here. So that's really helpful to have, especially if you follow the cycle of the moon #1, and astrologically, if you are trying to do things on specific days that is most, good, going to help, going to increase the energy of what you're trying to accomplish. Having that here is really helpful. Of course, these are your personal planets. You don't have the outer planets because they don't have so much impact on you personally. And so you have that here, and then the month. I love this. You don't have to flip. She does give it to you, and I'll talk about that in a minute in another chunk, but I really like that it is right here. You don't have to flip back and forth. So it goes all the way through, obviously, the whole year of 2018 through to December. And then it comes to the dailies, or the weeklies, really, which is how I do mine. I don't really do a full, this is really nice. This is how I would do it anyways. You can see one of the things that I like about disc binding is that I can set things in here. And I also like that she gave us December, mid-December days, right? So the winter solstice, which is something I will be doing, especially a lot of work on and doing things on, we can have that in here. So that's really wonderful to have those. And plus you can start using it right away, which many of us don't. When you get a planner, you hate having to wait, right? So this is the weekly. You can see, I'll just turn the page over to one that doesn't have things in it, but and talk about it. But see, this is why I like, I have some things that I need to plan out. I need to create some solstice salt, and I'm going to put ingredients here, different things that I want to accomplish. I can literally put in here, if I do, and I will be doing a reading for the winter solstice with my Wheel of the Year, I can stick a paper, a full page with it there. If I've done, let's say, just randomly, if I've done a reading that was on the new moon, right? But it's a pretty big reading. I can literally, you know, on a piece of paper, draw it out, put the cards there, write about it, whatever I want to do, and just stick it right in here in this Discbound system. And that's why I opted for this particular one to do a Discbound system, because that gives me lots of different things to do, ways to use it. But this is what a weekly spread looks like. Again, this ghosting is me, not her printing her. It's nothing to do with the actual file. But you can see you have a day for each of the month. I don't prefer split Saturdays and Sundays because often these days are actually quite busy for me. So I never quite like, but if I need to extend it, I can extend down here. She's given room for health and nutrition things that week, top priorities for the week, prosperity notes to do with, you know, money coming in, perhaps money coming out, personal care and spiritual things that you want to list, and she gives you a blank one as well for whatever you might want to track. Or again, as I said, you can easily wipe those or put some washi tape across those and do what you want to do. Gives you some blank space, which is also quite nice to have. So this, of course, goes all the way through, and she does have major holidays. So we have Christmas here, Kwanzaa begins. That's what's going on in that particular month. We do have important, so it's the first quarter moon. We have stellium in Capricorn here. So we would have had over here, of course, winter solstice. We have Yule. We have, again, different astrological things that are put there as well. So that's put in right into the dailies. And she has it from all different countries. So example, you have the Tibetan New Year, the Lunar New Year, the Mongolian New Year, the Chinese New Year, Ash Wednesday. So she's just kind of giving you a whole bunch of things. And she even here, it's the Tibetan New Year, the Lunar New Year, these New Years. We have, it's the year of the Yang Earth Dog. So she put that kind of information in. So there's a lot of that kind of information right in the dailies. So of course that goes all the way, you know, through the rest of the year. And then at the end, let me get back here. So at the end here, books read in 2018. And remember, because you have the PDF of this, like I would probably end up reading more books than that, so you can print those out. Well, I can because of the Discbound, but I can print out an extra page of that and stick this in here. Same thing with places visited. If you travel a lot, you might want an extra page, and you can just print out an extra page, which is really nice. Then we have a vision for 2018, 19, and 20. So this is kind of looking ahead, right? What is your vision statement for 2018, which you started the planner with, 2019, 2020? Your goals for 5 years, 3 goals for 5 years, and, you know, kind of information, you know, kind of work you can do on that. She gives you a vision board section for all these different aspects of your life, some important contact information, and then notes. So the topic, the notes, reminders, just some note pages. Again, you can print out as many of these as you might possibly need because you have the PDF, and then some sketch pages. For those of us who want to doodle something out, or just, you know, blank pages for other people. So then with the actual, now this is part of the planner. I've just divided it off and I've added my own. This is sigil making and things, my correspondences for geomancy. And so I put that in here because obviously that's important to me, as well as the geomancy figures here, because that wouldn't have been something that was she corresponded did for correspondences. You have the moon correspondences, wonderful information about the moon. You've got all of the moons in the different signs and what those might be. You have color correspondences. You have what are the basic understandings of the sun, all the different planets here. You have the houses and how she sees the houses and what they're connected to. And, you know, again, just key information here. She's not can't put everything you need to know about astrology in here, but she gets a lot in here. We've got the actual signs with their dates, you know, their fire signs, water signs, air signs, earth signs, the dates, some basic, depending on, you know, some basic information about who you are. So if you're a Libra for between September 23rd, which I am, to October 22nd, it's a cardinal. It's about diplomacy. These are leaders, goal-oriented, takes charge, initiates order, and active energy. So you have all the signs here, which is wonderful. Again, more information on each of the signs and what does that mean in general, which is awesome. Love, seeking the Holy Grail. This is the scales, the judge, impartiality, diplomacy, tact. You know, all seeks the middle path, which is so interesting because I have literally spent my whole life seeking the middle path before I even knew. I think the first time that I came across the idea of the middle path was actually in a Thomas Rhymer ballad. I collect different versions of Thomas the Rhymer ballads, and that idea, and of course in the third road in there is the road to fairyland, but this talks about the broad road to hell, the narrow road to heaven, and then the third road being to the other world, right? And so that is something. And then of course then I went into Buddhism, which is walking the middle path. So it's just quite interesting that that's something that I have always striven for, and then to see that in my sign is quite, you know, those moments like, oh yeah. Then we have some Western alchemical correspondences. You have the 4 metaphysical element correspondences, stones that go with them, oils that go with them, animal totems that go with them, social archetypes, and then the hexagrams that would be connected with them. And speaking of hexagrams, the whole chart, this is very helpful to me because I do cast I Ching, and so this is all right here so that it's with you. The magic square, which is actually something that I use for, she has a deck, a cartomancy deck, or she had, I don't know if it's still available, that you could print out, and I think that it follows this, she uses a square like this for that. And we have more information over here, so we can see wind but then there's more information. So you would look here if you lay cards down about your money, about your ambitions, about relationships. This is a great square. I think I have a video on this from using her card deck. If not, I should probably do so because it's really fantastic. Again, we've got the 5 elements because there are, or not, no, these are, yeah, wood, fire, earth, metal, and water, yeah. So these are the Oriental or Asian 5 elements. They don't do 4 elements, they do 5. We have a feng shui dial. We have the whole, I mean, it's just crazy, right? You have all of the tarot correspondences, upright, reverse, just with a single keyword, what it's connected to metaphysically, such as air or a planet or, you know, these types of things. A Kabbalistic numerology connection. And this is not just for the majors, but also for the minors. She also has a real brief Lenormand spread in here that has a noun, verb, and adjective. I will probably put my own, I have a keyword sheet for my own keyword associations that I'll probably exchange this for, but this is, you know, fantastic. Numerology, these are very much to do if you do your what your number is, your life path number. So I am the number 7, the Philosopher. I'm also, so that makes my card the Chariot. So, and I use life path numbers to connect with readings for people. And so, so yeah, so we have all that there. I mean, it's just, you know, it's crazy. This is, again, alphabets here and numbers, because then you can do things with putting out your name and these types of things. We have the Kabbalah and the basic Kabbalah structure, and over here we have the different correspondences here. I mean, look at all this. The chakras, which is really helpful to me because I'm going to be doing every spoke of the wheel. I'm going to be doing a chakra cleanse. I've already done this a few times this year, and so I even have it already in my, just some basic correspondences that I have come to find in my book. But this, you know, is going to give even more information, which is always helpful. And so all of that came in the Metaphysician's planner, and it was $25. I paid for this. This is not a paid advertisement. It's $25. I mean, it's crazy, right? Just for the correspondences. And then I put, I mean, another copy of this for the back. So with it, with the Metaphysician's planner, you get a guidebook, and this is only part of it. I only printed out the parts that I wanted to have with me, because some of it was, you know, suggestions on how to work with the planner, because it's a guidebook for the planner, and so some of it was, you know, some suggestions on how to work with it and fill out questions people might have. So I didn't really want those printed out, so I just reprinted out my chart and my solar return chart. I printed out a little, this is my personal chart that I use, so I stuck that in there, and then I printed out everything. This is kind of working through your natal chart, 2018 different astrological things to be aware of, you know, what to do if one of the dates are bad, for, you know, not really an auspicious date, but you still have to do things on those dates. Just talks about that. I haven't even read through this all. There's so much information, and so I might whittle this down as I you know, go through it, and what do I actually need to keep in my book, because obviously I have the guidebook in PDF form and I can refer to it, but how to navigate your natal years and what to look for, and all this. So basically I kept everything in here for that has to do with astrological things. Then there's a full ephemeris table. Now this I could take out because it's there every month, but if you just wanted to quickly look something up for the next year, you could. So this one, I could, you know, I could pull this chunk out, and I may end up doing that to lighten the load, but for the first go, I just printed anything astrological. She has all the void of course moon dates here, which is really important to have, something I'll be adding into the monthly thing probably. So she has a whole chart of that, and then these I stuck in on the appendix. This I think was actually in the planner, but this is some guides for recipes, like essential oil recipes and things like that. I have a whole book that I keep my own things in, which I showed you. I didn't show you all of them, but I keep it in that big book. But I wanted to be able to come back and reference these and take a look at what hers are, so I stuck those in there. So that's not even the full guidebook. It's just the things that were of interest to me, which pretty much was everything astrological. So that created this and then I put some blank pages in the back. I have blank full-size pages, and I have some blank smaller pages, because then I'm able to, you know, stick notes in, stick it where I want to stick it. If I did a reading for that day that's larger, I can literally graph out the reading, stick it in. If I've set some intentions with herbs and stones and things, I can write all that out before I do it, and then, because sometimes in the middle of doing something, I then change it so I can keep all my notes, and that way when I add it to my actual book, it's kind of after the fact when I've worked all that stuff out, but this lets me do that and slide things in as I go. So, and then I have these note pages as well that are already cut for disc binding systems so that I can stick those in just to have some notes. And of course, we always must have tabs. So this is, yeah. That's that. I know this was quite long, but I really wanted to do a walkthrough of this because I think it's amazing, and I think it's ridiculous the amount of information that you get for $25. I think it's just crazy. So even if you just wanted it for the correspondences, or you just wanted to get your chart, you can just kind of take whatever works for you. I love to have these rulers in my disc bind because then I will chart things out, want to make lines. So I've got one of these for where the month is, and then I have one of these that I made, just a placeholder stuck in here for the actual week that I'm on. So that's what I have there. And then of course I have these for correspondences, tabs here, and then I've got folders in the front and the back to stick things in. Again, I probably don't need two of those, but this is a little unwieldy because it is big. And again, I could separate these two things off and have this in one smaller one and then have this in another one. But for right now, I'm going to keep them together. This isn't something I would carry around with me. This is going to be sitting on my desk, right? So I don't have as much of a need for this to be compact because this is going to be sitting on a table. It's not something I'll carry around. If I was carrying this around, I would definitely separate the planner out because that's a nice amount of a planner, and just stick that into one by itself, and that way I would be able to take it with me, grab it and go. But because I'm not doing that, this is what I've chosen to do. So there you go. I just wanted to walk through this so people are aware of this fantastic resource, number one. And number two, I do videos on my planner systems, and so I wanted to, this is a new one I'm putting in for 2018, so I wanted to make a video on it. So I have personal, metaphysical, and then I do still use, people always ask about your Midori. My Midori is much more research based. I'm working through plants. I need to get back into that. I'm working through plants. I also am working with essential oils a lot, and so I have notes for essential oils and recipes that have worked for me and those kinds of things. So this is much more that type of a book for me. So there we have it. I hope this has been some help to somebody, and or at least of interest in helping you make your mind up whether you wanted that. Also a big thumbs up or suggestion that if you're going to get this and use it metaphysically, perhaps the disc binding system might be something that you would be of interest in the way that you could use it with this. So that's all she wrote. I'm going to stop babbling.